we'll have this discussion.
Discussion? What discussion?
This is a discussion.
Combustion.
Coming to you from Denver, Colorado. This is Discussion Combustion Podcast with your hosts, Kevin Batstone and Arthur Raw.
Happy Veterans Day to all of the men and women who have served, past, present, home, and abroad. We thank you for your service. And tonight is another Discussion Combustion special, our second annual Veterans Day special. We got retired military Steve Lobato in studio tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun chatting with him. But first, got to pay the bills. And today's episode is brought to you by Mountain Made CBD.
MountainMade.life, that's where you're going to go to see all this crystal clear CBD product. And remember, they came out with the new dog product here. And it's CBD meant for your furry friends. And I gotta tell you guys, like, dogs are one of our best companions out there in the world. You know, they're there through thick and thin, and we don't always know when they're hurting. You know, they grow older, you know, they could get arthritis, you know, and this thing's gonna help the well-being of the animal. You just put it in the bowl, and that's it.
That's right. Put it in the bowl and bam. And that's gonna get them to, you know, hashtag wolf like hell. And I'm coining that phrase, Mike. You know, I think that's gonna work. But here's the deal with the dog product. It's 50 milligrams of magnolia. It's 50 milligrams of glucosamine and 10 milligrams of CBD. You know, so get that for your furry friends.
What bacon and
peanut butter.
And peanut butter are the
bacon
flavors.
and peanut butter
Yeah.
flavors for your pups, you know, easing their pain. Especially, you know, as they get a little bit older, they're going to need some of that relief. And it's great the Mountain Maid's offering that now. You can roll that into their monthly subscription program.
Yeah.
The auto pay, auto ship.
And auto discounts with that. So just make sure that you're staying active on their website. They do have workout plans, Mountain Maid Mob. I mean, they're doing more than just CBD. And if you are a dispensary out there that would like CBD product on your shelves, you know, that's good for humans and our furry friends, then you could go to mountainmade.life. They are set up with all the regulations, and they're ready to go to your shelves nationwide for dispensaries.
And that's that hashtag go like hell mentality. Go like hell, baby. And today's episode is also brought to you by Wild Outdoor Adventures, and that's WOAMEET.com.
Wild Outdoor Adventures is a Colorado company, so if you're interested in coming to the state and seeing what we have to offer as far as outdoor activities, this is a great website to go to. You can join at no charge, and a lot of the activities they have are no charge as well. You could even start a blog if you have a question on a specific activity that you're interested in partaking in. Just start a blog on that website, and then I'm sure you'll get participants and people who are familiar with the state. Also, Hope for Teens, Hope for Veterans, easy to use website. I mean, it's a community and it's building. Like, they got stuff on YouTube as well if you want to take a sneak peek before you get out on the trails or snowshoeing they're always staying busy.
Take advantage of that technology. You know, it's free to sign up, doesn't cost you anything but your time. See what these guys got going on if you want to meet people. You know, like Arthur said, specific programs. Hope for Veterans. It is Veterans Day. Getting these guys together, getting them something to do, getting them outdoors. That's what it's all about. And these guys are offering it. Follow them on all social media platforms. Free to sign up on the website. Wild Outdoor Adventures is less dreaming and more exploring.
Let's jump into the episode. Good vibes in here tonight. I've been excited, ready to have fun.
Yeah, man. It's
on a
Veterans Day.
Tuesday. It's a Tuesday, so this is going to drop on Veterans Day. We got Steve in here. He's talking us up about the retiree life, things that he's keeping himself busy with, but it's a pleasure to have you, Steve.
Welcome aboard, my friend, and thank you for your service.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. This should be fun.
This is going to be a lot of fun, man. So, retired in May, you were saying?
Last May, yes.
From the Space Force?
Yes, 32 years. Not with the Space Force, but
right.
6 years Army, 22 years Defense Department, and I finished up my last 10 with the new Space Force. So, pretty exciting. Yes.
So you were there with the training, because it was when you went out to Buckley to finish up your last years there. Was that under the Air Force before the Space Force, or when did that transition?
It was still the Air Force, but I fell under Space Command. The term Space Force is kind of new to the private sector, but in all reality, the Space Command's been out there for years.
Yeah,
watching everything that leaves the Earth, basically.
Okay.
Monitoring everything with all types of different systems. So the new term Space Force just came around right before I retired. So
I kind of like Space Command a little bit more
than Space Force.
Yeah, I don't know why. It just kind of it sounds more full of authority.
Understand, but as a branch of the Air Force, you can see where that came from.
Sure.
Correct. Yeah.
No, I'm sure there's a lot of confidence.
There's different commands in the Air Force. You know, you have Northern Command and you have Space Command.
Okay.
I mean, there's different just different branches. So it kind of divided the people that watch what leaves the Earth. You know, gave them their own identity.
Okay.
I think that's
I guess that's the best way to explain it.
that makes sense.
Yeah, because I was kind of wondering when that split happened, what and why what the Space Command, Space Force, and Air Force, what branch did what. And I guess that kind of clears some of that up.
It's really I would say a vision of looking into the future, because space really is the future when it comes to protecting the United States.
Yeah.
Did you watch that Steve Carell show on Netflix, The Space Force?
I watched one episode, yeah, and I thought that was funny. And I actually heard that they're trying to go back at the government and go, "Hey, that was ours before it was yours."
Really?
Yeah.
Because Netflix
yeah.
they trademarked Space Force. Netflix did.
Okay.
Apparently, before the United States government trademarked Space Force. So like that's just what I heard. I don't know how factual all this is, but apparently like Netflix has the rights to the trademark, and that the Space Force, actual Space Force, may need to like change their name, or so there's like a conflict there.
It coincided with the timing of it all. What Netflix, when they announced they were going to be doing this filming, it was right when the U.S. military announced the Space Force. Is that what you're saying?
I think Netflix got the idea from Space Force.
I mean, that's my understanding. You know, Steve Carell was a big Office fan. I was like, this will be cool, but you're right. I got maybe 3 episodes in, and I was like, I don't know.
Well, if I had to guess, I'd agree with that. I'd say that they were like, let's jump on this right away.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. And it was supposed to take place in Colorado, I think, the show.
Yeah.
I don't know where they were stationed, but.
Well, it's funny because, you know, the command for the whole thing is supposed to be happening up at Peterson.
Okay.
Up in Colorado Springs, which would make sense, you know, around NORAD. But
yeah,
who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the facts. I'm guessing like everybody else. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see where this thing goes. Just like anything, that's been the story of 2020.
I've always wanted to see that NORAD's like that huge base, right? That where if all the fallout happens, that's where like all the big wigs go or something. Like so I've always wanted to see the inside of that, you know, because it's just so curious. And then, do you think that DIA like really has? Have you heard all the DIA conspiracies?
We've heard all those conspiracies.
Do you think any?
Well, I actually watched a show about it that came on maybe not even a month ago, where they actually took the cameras down in there and said, "Hey, have a look. There are a bunch of tunnels down there, but this is where everybody's hustling the luggage back and forth." There's
because when you look at DIA, I mean, you have what A, B, and C terminal concourses. There's a lot of space. I mean, you ride that passenger train out there. They gotta get the luggage out there as well. So it would make sense that there's all these underground tunnels.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to talk about the ultimate shelter in place, DIA is it. Now,
That's a good
point. Is it a secret? No, it's not a secret. It'd be a good place to have a friend.
Yeah, it would be, and it would be a good place to shelter in. And that's the thing with the conspiracy. It's like, so if it's a conspiracy, it was built this way for a new world order. There would have to be more people involved. More people would know what's going on, and they're just speculating on, oh, well, this was painted this way, this was built that way.
Oh yeah, because they get into about all the paintings, like, oh, well, this painting has this depiction.
There's some murals on the wall, which I think are cool art.
Yeah,
but it doesn't mean anything, right? I mean, the way I see it.
If you walk the hallways and like just in Terminal A, it's all American Indian artifacts, and there's nothing weird going on now up there. You don't read into anything except for, you know, what you're looking at. It's if you walk around the airport, I've never seen anything that made me go or think anything, but that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, because I watched all that. I think Jesse Ventura was on one of them. He was all fired up. You know, we got to go to Denver and see what's going on. You know, and it's like, well, what is going on? I mean, I walked it too. I saw the gargoyles in the luggage area and the murals. But how do we immediately relate that to a new world order?
I mean, you can overthink anything. Like people who want to overthink things are going to find a way.
Of course, the mind
to have it make sense. Yeah, like you could connect any any dots.
Well,
It doesn't mean that the line's actually there.
And one of the other big talking points of it was what they had the New World Airport Commission or something. There's a plaque in the airport right by the TSA check-in spot. And when you research them, they're not a real thing. So there's speculation around what that means. But
Yeah, I remember seeing that part. There's some weird things to it, but I don't know. Like it would have to be like it would have to be like super deep. I don't know what it would even be.
yeah,
You know, just a base. I don't know. Speculation is speculation.
conspiracy theorists, man, they're everywhere.
I can tell you this: over the years working in the military, especially when I started working out at Buckley. Now, everybody's seen the golf balls.
Oh yeah,
What's in the golf balls? Radar's in the golf balls.
Yeah.
You know, when you first in process at Buckley, when you first start working there, civilians, military, they go, radar in the golf balls, and you know that's.
How far do those radar systems see? I mean, are you allowed to disclose or
Well,
an approximate range?
basically the way it works is, and this isn't classified information.
Okay.
This is basically what happens is at Buckley, one of the more simpler systems that they use shoots infrared all the way around the globe.
okay,
That's just, and it's using satellites, of course.
sure.
You know, and it basically makes like one of those patterns.
Helix
around.
or something?
So if somebody shoots something of interest, we can see
You can pick it up.
We pick it and we can respond.
So is it measuring what's in the air, like air traffic? Is it measuring what's flying around, or does it pick up all of it?
I would imagine it picks up all of it. I mean, that's not my area of expertise.
Sure.
I just know the basics of how it works and what it does and how it protects us. And and it's just one of the main hubs here in Colorado, probably because of our altitude. I'm guessing. I'm not, like I said, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
Don't claim to be, but it's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I feel very safe here. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, and that's a good feeling
For sure.
Because during the Reagan presidency, he implemented the Star Wars, right, which was kind of the missile interception.
Right.
You know, and that sounds like maybe it's piggybacking off that and how we interpret what's going on and what move to make next. I'm not an expert, but I love listening and learning about it. I think it's cool.
It is, and the jets are badass.
Oh,
you know, like I live in Congress Park area, and I think like twice a week they fly over that, and a lot of times I could go out and catch them, and it's just the power of those engines, you know, and they're up there like it
Makes you feel good.
Have you? I don't think you've ever been in one or like flown in one.
No,
Or like,
I always wish I could.
yeah,
Especially getting one of those F-16s
Oh, yeah.
from the 140th Fighter Wing out there. I get mad when they take the pretty news ladies from 9 News up in one, and I'm going, hey, man.
come on, I put in time.
What about
I
us?
deserve a ride.
But,
Yeah.
you know, they got to make a story. But, you know, they're very impressive. They buzz my house because where I live,
You're closer in that flight path.
When they take off, they fly right over my house. I mean, they shake my windows every weekend.
Yeah,
Because that's when they do most of their flying.
It's on the weekend.
Yeah, where they go when they fly south. Now, where I worked at Buckley, the building, they would turn and burn. I mean, right over the building all day long, and I'd be on the phone and be like, "Hold on," because they usually fly in 2s and 3s, and they shake the whole thing, and you get so used to it. Matter of fact, now my wife is working from home. She's doing the same thing. She's on webinars and stuff going, hold on.
Hold on.
hang on. The F-16
What is that?
The Air Force is up there.
The Air
Yeah.
Force is, they're training.
That's such a cool feel, man. When I was living in Seven Hills, I felt the same thing because it was kind of in that same area off Buckley, and it would rattle the windows like 7 a.m. Saturday, you know, somewhere in there, 7:30. Boom. That's your wake up call.
You got to wonder, like, do they build the buildings to withstand, like, that sort of, like, the sound pressure,
Probably not.
you know?
No. They might now, if you're going to have an old glass building, that would stand to reason. But if you're right under an F-16 when it leaves the ground and turns up and hits its afterburners and takes off, it'll shake your truck.
Oh yeah.
I've sat in my truck and
You can feel it.
Christ, it's cool.
That's such a cool feeling.
Yeah, it's like, I'm glad you're on our side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I love being at the NASCAR race too, man, when they do the flyover,
Oh, yeah.
It's so badass. And so going back to when you first put on a uniform and picked up a rifle, what was, was that just, you said you brought up in a military family, and was that kind of how you were bred?
Yeah, my father, my whole family, not the whole family, but I come from a military family. My grandfather was actually in the cavalry. He lied about his age, and he actually rode a horse in the Army. He goes back that far.
So, wasn't World War I the last time that
Yes.
they implemented cavalry?
Yeah, so that's how far back that went.
Wow.
My father was military. My uncles were military, Air Force, Navy, Marines. Not all of them, but he comes from a pretty big family. But we're pretty much a military family.
Okay.
Yeah.
So being raised, I was actually born in Wyoming at the Air Force Base there, and then you get drug around your whole life, and it's not easy being a military brat, as they call us.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a little kid, it's not that big of a deal, but as you get older and you start making friends, say bye-bye every couple of years.
Yeah.
Every 2 to 3 years.
You just get used to moving.
You're packing up, you're moving.
That would be tough.
Yeah. Sometimes people they used to ask me, how long you been in the military? It's like, my whole life.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I don't know anything else. So yeah, my dad's from Colorado, and he retired here, and we're at old Lowry Air Force Base, which isn't around anymore. So that was my first time that I really remembered. I went to Aurora Hinckley. I got put into, because usually you're in military schools. Mm-hmm. When I say military schools, I'm referring to the bases have their own schools on the base. Excuse me. And then when he retired here, I went to Aurora Hinckley.
Okay.
And I always said, well, first of all, I got to tell you, any little picture of me as a kid, I'm wearing Army gear.
Yeah.
You're like suited up.
Yep.
In the formals, right?
No.
Oh, with the
Helmet,
fatigue.
guns,
Yeah.
fatigues. I was, that's all I ever wanted to be, was a soldier.
So do you think, like, children who grow up like you did, the schooling that's provided, do you feel like it's different than public school education?
It is. I can actually remember the time, and this is kind of funny. The first time I went to a public school was actually at Old Lowry Air Force Base, because they didn't have a school on the base. And I remember, to this day, we're in the lunchroom, and I was asking some little girl, I was going, well, what's your dad do in the Air Force? And she's like, what are you talking about? I was like, what does your dad do in the Air Force? And I was like, he's not in the Air Force. I thought everybody was in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I did. I mean, as a kid, that's all you know.
You were born and bred Air Force.
Yes, and then when you get to an Air Force base where you don't go to school on the base, where all kids' fathers or mothers are in the military, you kind of, you're scratching your head going, well, geez, this is kind of wild.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I can totally see it.
It's different, yeah. So,
Yeah.
Huh. I mean, that's just kind of interesting, because do you feel like military children are more apt to join then? I mean, you would think so. I mean, because that's how you grew up, right? That's like the lifestyle.
Many generations of military.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be the way.
It's been my experience over the 30-something years in working with civilians and military that, yes, if your father or mother was military, you join the military.
Yeah.
And it's not all the time, but it usually was a conversation that didn't have to happen. You just said, what branch was your parents in?
Mm-hmm.
You knew. This is that way it is.
Yeah.
Now, what was some of the coolest places you got to see in your military experience, as far as around the world or whatever you saw?
Well, growing up, just about every state in the country.
You covered it all. You saw them all.
If there was an Air Force base, we were pretty much there. But my going overseas, It was Great Britain.
Really?
Yeah. That's where my father met my mother. And we'd come back stateside, and they always figured out to get his next assignment back there. But, we'd travel around, but as far as being stationed, the only Air Force base that I ever lived in was, that I can remember, it was in Great Britain.
Okay.
Because we were young then, but
Yeah.
when we got older, we always lived stateside at different Air Force bases. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So yeah, so we're just about seeing them all here in the U.S. of A.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, when I joined the Army, it was like, where do you want to go? And I was like, nowhere.
So Kansas?
I don't want to go anywhere.
You want to stay here?
I wanted to stay in Colorado.
Yeah.
Where did you serve your basic?
That was Fort Dix, New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay.
Fort Dix, New Jersey. There's a treat.
Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Yep.
And then where'd you go from there?
I actually did my basic and my AIT there,
Okay.
and then came back to Colorado, and where I served several years at Fort Carson, 4th Infantry Division.
Excellent.
That's like my alma mater for the military.
Sure.
I love the 4th ID.
Hell yeah. Well, band of brothers, I mean, I appreciate your service. I've had really good friends that I grew up with that served, and I've never served, but I always saw the value in it and gave thanks because it is a selfless act, to protect this country and to suit up and take risks, so, very thankful to have you in here for this special. So I had a would you rather, no, not a would you rather yet, but something that is kind of switching the topic here. So before you came in, Kevin was showing me some of your face app stuff.
That's funny stuff, Steve.
And dude,
That's good stuff.
I like the Forrest Gump one the most, just like the serious face you had on, so I don't do any of that stuff personally, but yeah, and you looked like Snoop Dogg too, because your goatee, like I couldn't tell a difference.
Yeah, we were cracking up because we were trying to get a little, I was like, okay, here's our guest tonight, and we're looking at your face app, so that's fun. It's a good time.
I am kind of a smart ass, and I'm trying to lighten things up with everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So instead of all the political garb, I was trying to just find something that's more humorous to throw out there, and so yeah.
We need more of that, Steve, I think.
We need a lot more of that.
People are so fired, especially on social media. We talk about that here so much. People are so angry at each other.
Yes.
Friendships are falling apart, and people are just fired up. And
Absolutely.
That's all well and good, but it's like, man, we're still friends at the end of the day. We're still Americans at the end of the day. There's nothing wrong with disagreeing, but let's sit down and have a beer and still be civil.
It's quite amazing to me. When all this 4 years ago, when everything started, how fast friends, relatives, everybody just said, I don't want anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have an opinion, and your opinion is this. And it's like, really? You don't even want to talk about it? And then cut off. And it's I've never seen anything like it in my life.
Mm-hmm. It's been an adjustment for sure. It's made a lot of Thanksgivings difficult. I think this might be the most difficult one, being with COVID and all that stuff. But, coming through the elections here, there's going to be a lot of fired up people having some turkey here in a couple weeks.
Firing up the turkey aggressively. They're like slamming the stuff shut, like basting it, frustrated.
People are just angry. That's what I've noticed. They're so mad.
I've developed a twitch in my eye over the past couple weeks from like the staying at home stuff and constantly working and like just the non-stopness. Like it's started to happen. So I'm like trying to like take deep breaths and get rid of the twitch.
Yeah,
so that's my new hashtag is get rid of the twitch.
Hashtag get rid of the twitch. You got to do something, man, in these crazy times. And it almost coincided with your retirement, right? So you retired right as the kind of the COVID lockdown hit.
Yeah. Actually, at work, I think we were wearing masks for. Well, actually, I went home now to think of it. I took my laptop home 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks before.
The stay-at-home order.
Yeah, before it got really crazy. I mean, everybody was trying to be safe, and trying to work from home, and get on all these systems that I worked on. It was a nightmare. I mean, it was a nightmare. I'd get up 6 o'clock in the morning, and it would take me 3 to 4 hours to get logged on to all the systems that I needed to do my job. At a Buckley, one of my jobs was my main job was to make sure that everybody who had access to classified information had the proper security clearance. Everybody out there pretty much has a security clearance. There's a lot of classified. It's a huge job, and to do it remotely was almost impossible. One of the reasons was for me to submit somebody's background investigation, I had to fingerprint you. Can't do that from home.
Yeah.
Can't do that from home.
So I think it was like 2 months went by, and then I think the base commander made a command decision to say, bring him in 2 hours on Wednesday and let him fingerprint everybody. Well, when people found out, because I was fingerprinting everybody on the front range, every branch of the military, including the arsenal, and it's just something that I did as a courtesy. When they found out I was in there for 2 hours, 1 day a week, it was just it was crazy. So
those 2 hours turned into 4.
Well, sometimes it wasn't supposed to, but it did, because there were the people,
The workload.
The workload was there, and people need their clearances. If you don't have the proper clearance, or if it lapses over, you can't do your job. You'll go up to a certain gate, and they'll go, go home. Your clearance is lapsed.
Yeah.
You're no good.
You're not
Your
authorized.
periodic reinvestigation's not put in. You can't do your job. It really caused a gridlock
I can see
out there.
that.
It did
Clog that up a little bit. How long does it typically take, to give someone clearance from start to finish? I'm sure it's a detailed process, but how long does it usually run?
For a secret clearance, that can happen pretty quickly if you've lived in the same place for the last 10 years. Because with a secret and top secret, it's a 10-year. We go back 10 years. So for something like a secret clearance, and you've lived in the same place, and you don't have to check with 1,000 people, it can go pretty quick. Top secret, when I left, it was averaging 9 months to a year.
Wow.
Yeah. You're still going back 10. You're going back 10 years, but everybody you put on there, they're going to talk to.
Yeah.
They're going to verify every little thing that you do. Like my whole life has been, every 5 years, here they come knocking on all my neighbors' doors. Thank goodness, almost all my neighbors are veterans, and they know what's up.
Yeah.
And they go, "What's up with Steve? Does he have a lot of parties? See a lot of women coming in and out of there?"
Asking all the questions.
I know these investigators. That's the kind of stuff. They're just checking you out, making sure you're on the up and up.
Yeah, just trying to sniff it out.
But once you get the investigator to go through your whole questionnaire, then it goes to an adjudication system, and an adjudicator has to look at it, and he's going to go through it line for line for line for line, and then they make a decision whether or not you get your clearance. So it can take, I know my first top secret took a year. That was a long time ago, but it didn't get any better. Maybe a little bit better in the last year.
Sure.
Got bent down about 9 months, but yeah, it's a ugly process.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know they're doing it thoroughly, right?
Oh, yeah.
We got to have this clearance, and if it takes 9 to 12 months for a top secret mission, I guess they got to investigate all of it.
Right.
They want to know what you've been eating, where you've been sleeping, who you've been talking to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
It does, and like what you're saying, like they should be there for 10 years or something like that. But you moved around your entire life, so it's probably never that easy to where they've been in the same place over 10 years. There's probably always movement happening for the people that are applying.
Well, it was a little easier for me because coming out of the military, they already had their hooks in me.
Mm-hmm.
They had already checked on me once, and then they kind of knew where I'd been. They didn't have to go back that far and talk to that many people.
I see.
That makes sense.
But with a TS, a top secret, every 5 years, you're going to have a periodic investigation. Well, it got so bad about 3 years ago, they extended it out to 6 years instead of 5 years. where they threw another year on there for you before you had to have a reinvestigation, just to help the backlog that they had at Office of Personnel Management.
Just to alleviate some of the strain on re-evaluating these people.
It was just too many people and not enough investigators.
Wow.
But
Makes sense.
Every 6 years, yeah.
So I know are you a singer in bands? Or because I know.
Opinions vary on that.
Yeah.
Well, my opinion is this: I've watched. When Mike Cole was on a couple weeks ago, we talked about how I've had the privilege of watching you guys rock and roll around the city, and you've given me a lot of vocal coaches throughout the years, and man, you're a rock man. You've rock and rolled all over Denver, Colorado for what, 3 decades?
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that. That is the main reason I got out of active duty.
Was to play?
Yeah.
That's badass.
In the 80s, well, in the 70s and early 80s, being a soldier was not an easy thing to do when it came to the ladies or anybody else. You weren't popular. It was almost like going back to the Vietnam days, and I would never compare that. Don't get me wrong. The soldiers that came back from Vietnam got treated like crap. But when I served up in, I served in '79 up in Colorado Springs, and we were not popular. But that's when everybody was growing their hair and being cool, and music was coming around. And I've always been a musician. I come from a musical family, and it was tough. It was, and at some point I said, okay, I want to grow my hair, and I want to rock.
My dad, he served for a little bit, and he told me a story. He never was deployed, but he used to be on the base, and he had his Harley, and he used to wear a wig that would hide his long hair, and so he told me a story about how he was riding his Harley down the tarmac, the airstrip, and he's Private Ron, and they're all yelling at him and stuff, and finding out about his wig and ripping it off and whatnot, and then having to shave all of his long hair, and he's bald now, so that really meant something to him, I don't know. It's just kind of funny that time of life, I wasn't around, but
Sure.
Hearing the stories is interesting.
Hey, growing up in the '70s, everybody was growing their hair long. Well, my dad, being Air Force, oh no, you're not growing your hair long. It's like, I'm never going to get laid. He just shave away. And, his, back in the 70s, especially a military guy like my dad, it was like, he actually gave me this story. Look, son, here's how it works. The drug dealers come. They give you the drugs for free. Then they get you hooked. And then you got to pay for it. Then you're giving your lunch money. I'll always remember telling him, it's like, Dad, I never got any free drugs.
I was looking forward to this, though.
Never any free drugs.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, so 79, 80, you said, around that time, that's when you wanted to start rocking?
It was about 1982.
Okay. 38 years ago.
Yeah. And I was, things were starting to happen musically in this country where it was starting to change a little bit.
Sure.
And it was pretty cool. And I was kind of jamming around with some of the guys on the bass, which is the most depressing thing you'll ever see, is a bunch of guys in OD green with guitars down at this crappy little, I can't remember what you call it, but they'll give you guitars and amps and stuff. And it was sad. But yeah, something clicked in me and went, oh, not to mention I had this brother that was, come on, man, get out of there. We'll start a band.
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah.
So he was kind of egging you on.
Driving factor.
Yeah. Get out, grow your hair, and we'll start a band.
That was part of the pitch.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
You grow your hair out, man. And you're just sitting here, God, I just wish I could grow my hair.
Well, all you have to do is go to a bar on a Friday or Saturday night in Colorado Springs in 1980 and denied. I mean, the women there, if back then, it was like depressing, man. You had no
Really?
place to go. Oh yeah, the clubs on the base, they set up these old mule barns, what we call mule barns, the old World War II buildings, and it'd be like bright fluorescent lights, and they'd have these Oriental girls stand on these little podiums, and just the tables, they sell you booze, and they'd wear bathing suits and go-go dance, and it's like, this is as good as it gets, boys. Somebody start a war. Get us the hell out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, because in that scenario, you can't even they're just serving you alcohol. Like you can't go anywhere else with it.
No.
Yeah.
You know?
Catching a glimpse and having a drink and
No.
I bet you they don't do that anymore. Like have the
No.
little Asians and
No.
Come out, or-
By the time I left, they were building called enlisted men's clubs, because the officers always had clubs, but they had enlisted men's clubs where they were kind of nice, and they were starting to build, like, I always lived in barracks, old World War II wooden, like you see in the movie Barracks.
yeah.
But they did have dorms, and where two guys would share like a college dorm, and they had they shared a bathroom and stuff. But when I got there, I mean, they cut a padlock off and kicked open this door in the cobwebs and said, "Get in there and clean it up." But it was nice, but we all got our own room, a good sized room. It was nice. Only problem was you shared a bathroom. So one side has 10 showers and the other side has 10 toilets.
Oh.
So you're there brushing your teeth and everybody's just having a chat in the morning. You're used to that in the Army, in the military mostly. But it's like, really? I
Yeah.
can't take a shower without watching you do your morning thing. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That was old school.
Yeah.
So we were still doing old school stuff while the Army was modernizing. So we I missed out on that. But we actually ended up getting our own mess hall. So I don't know.
that's kind of fun. I stayed in the dorms for a little bit, one semester, and it was an interesting experience. Nothing like the military experience, obviously, but
I never did the dorms, man.
it was just different, because all the common areas people would hang out in, or
Yeah.
there'd be like the cool kids dorm room where you would always all the people would be hanging out there. Yeah, but the shared bathroom thing.
That would that takes some getting used to. I mean, I remember in gym class having to deal with that. I can't imagine waking up, if I'm sitting there doing a little bit of manscaping and you're trying to brush your teeth, it's alarming. I'm trying to clean the peaches, and Joe's getting ready for work. So
That's funny. I can only imagine sitting there taking the morning dump and somebody's shaving the peaches.
yeah.
Because we go, you're in the wrong branch. You might want to try the Navy. Yeah. Didn't mean anything by that.
No, the Navy boys, they know they got it hard with the heckling. But I do have a would you rather. So this one's kind of like kind of the United States position on a global scale. So, I mean, I would say, we're probably the biggest superpower. Obviously, it's, we have some competitors, but the United States, for the most part, is kind of like the world police, people say. So would you prefer to see the United States stay in that role, or have other countries fill that void and have like a lot of our troops come back?
Well, that's a great question. I don't think we should sacrifice that many people to police up the world. Everybody has to pitch in. Why should America sacrifice all of our military and have everybody? It's financially. Our people die. No, we're not the world's police. Absolutely not. We're not the world's police. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take a whole lot of common sense to take a look at bad situations that are going on, and be able to figure out that it takes a, God, what's the way to put it? It's not our responsibility. We should not put our militaries on the line solely. It's got to be a global effort. The problem is, in my opinion, is there's just too many views on what's right and wrong.
Mm-hmm. Too much division.
Yeah, it's and I mean from different countries. What one country believes is right, the other country does not believe is right, and that's where it rolls into a problem. I mean, that there's a reason we have allies, but our allies we've kind of all got shaken up into a bowl and thrown out, in my opinion, in the last 10 years. Nobody trusts each other anymore, and you get different leaders in different positions, and it can become a problem. The one thing I'll say, and I'm not going to use any names, but some leaders say, hey, we should not be solely responsible. We should not be the world police. And I agree with that. And all you have to do is serve in the military and see. I've seen people deploy and come back and deploy and come back. They have families, and we have a huge military. It's not fair. It's not fair to our military people.
I would agree with that, Steve.
Yep, and they don't ask questions. They don't ask questions. They serve and they go and they come back and they go. That's the one thing that really gets me in the soul. It's like we do too much.
We do too much. I would agree with
too
that.
much.
I think we've done too much for too long, and that's become almost like an expectation. The USA will be there. The American military will take care of it. We can always count on them, which is great. We got the best military in the world. But you're right. It needs to be a collaborative effort. We need world peace in some form or the other. And if there is a fire to go put out in Syria or wherever it is, everyone's got to be on board with that. We can't just look at America to do it.
So it's like, since we do have the strongest military and the technology and the reach, if obviously we would have to leave with tact, like we couldn't just up and leave, or else, you might have people who aren't trained well enough, equipped to handle it, or so I agree, that the burden shouldn't primarily be on one country. Sure, we have a ton of allies that help out, like Canada, Australia, like ton of allies, the list goes on. But, I just think it's important for, the world to all contribute. But at the same time, like if the United States were to pull out a lot of troops and decrease the amount of global, observation that they do, or that we do, then it would have to be done slowly, so you could train the people who are going to come in to do it right.
Sure. Yeah. Why are we helping out countries that are burning the American flag? That upsets me. Not one penny more, in my opinion. That's my stance on it. A lot of countries out there hate America. They're burning our flag. Why should we be there? To pick them up when they fall. It might be an aggressive standpoint, but that's what I think, Steve.
Well, what Arthur was saying, it's a great point. It's like you just can't pull out. And if you leave your troops there, they're there to do a job. Mm-hmm. You can't just go stay there and be neutral.
Yeah,
because then they're vulnerable and they can be fired upon, and then they do any. It's not any good.
Sure.
If you pull everybody out, you leave your allies vulnerable. There's no easy question to all of that, and I'm no expert on how that all works. I mean, it for all of us sitting back here watching, it seems simple. Going, well, hey, if we don't want to be the world police, let's just get out of there. Well, if we get out of there, what happens to the countries we pulled out of? South Korea is a perfect example.
Yep.
If we left South Korea, what do you guys think would happen? Probably wouldn't be good for them.
Yeah, Korean Peninsula would be, extremely vulnerable.
And then all what happens is we got to go back.
That's a good point too. I mean, yeah, you got to have an exit strategy, and it's got because after everyone's mad at Bush for the Iraq War and weapons of mass destruction, and a lot of fingers got pointed around that. But the fact remains, we were trying to do the best thing we can. I think we've always done a good job at doing so. But you're right. An exit strategy has to be strategic and has to take time. You can't just up and leave. Say we're done. We're out later.
Well, because like I forget. I think it was like a conflict with Turkey and another country right now, and America pulled out, and then Russia had the base like less than 2 days later. And so it's like, what do you want to decide to do? Well, because there's always going to be life's lost, like you said. So it's like, where is it worth? And that's just it's crazy because after World War II, America was positioned as like this global power, this powerhouse. With the biggest maritime, we have the biggest navy, so we can control maritime traffic. And there's just so many areas where America has accelerated. And so like being the free democracy or, the free people of the world, it's only right that we try to help distribute that. But then what's the burden that we have to take on for doing that? So it's definitely one of those things where it's like, like damned if you do, damned if you don't sort of thing, because we're just in that position.
Sure.
And that's exactly right. Some of our best allies, if we left them alone, they wouldn't last.
Yeah.
They're too small.
They need us.
England is a perfect example. Now, can they fight? Can they defend themselves? Yeah. But if another superpower came in, we'd be right back there. We'll always stay in England.
Yeah.
Well, I think we'll always stay in Germany, if you can believe that. But they're an ally now.
Yeah.
I mean, and France also. Most of Europe. It's an easy thing to say. Let's bring our boys home.
Right.
Let's because I always like that theory. Let's just bring everybody back, and we'll just build a big old wall around us.
Right.
And anybody messes with America. Well, that's what we used to do. But then in World War II, we took it to the fight. Well, we did in World War I too, but not in the extent that we did in World War II. We had to go to the fight, to the aggressor.
Yeah. Take it head on.
Couple different fronts.
And we got to take care of our adversaries.
And that took the whole world.
Yeah, it did.
That took the whole world to go in there and take care of that little problem. So.
Yeah, eliminate the evil, so to speak. And
yeah,
I agree with you, Steve. I think that our allies are allies for a reason. And we got to be there for our adversaries. You scratch our back, we scratch yours. We're there for you. We're brothers, kind of thing. That's what we need. We need a world alliance. Everybody needs to be in agreement. Is it realistic? Probably not. That everyone's going to be on the same page.
Well, it's because it's tough because because I was thinking of like another would you rather, like something like would you prefer there to be like a world government, opposed to different countries? But
I don't think that's good.
But I mean, but while I was thinking about that, it's just like you would have to have people who are absolutely selfless in there, because if people have that much control, absolute power corrupts, like the saying goes. And so it's like it's hard to take like this power and being in a position of power and then being willing to distribute that so everybody gets a piece of it. So it's like, could there even be a world government, that dictates everything?
Are you saying socialism worldwide?
Well, I don't know. I'm just kind of just rambling here of just thoughts in my head,
Yeah, and we've heard that before. Yeah. Wow, what a great idea! If we all lived in this perfect little world, under one regime.
It's too powerful.
I don't know
it's
if
too
that would
powerful.
work.
It can't happen that way.
Yeah,
and it can't happen in this country either. I mean, we can't live under a regime per se. We have a constitution, and that's what keeps us all alive and doing what we want on a daily basis.
Sure.
Second Amendment. A Second Amendment is a perfect example.
Hell yeah.
If somebody at this point wants to come and say, we're going to take the Second Amendment out because we're in charge, guess what happens?
It's not going to be pretty.
No,
It's not going to be pretty.
not going to be pretty.
390 million guns here in America. You know, the Second Amendment was put in place in case the government came against tyranny. You know, we are here to defend ourselves.
That's right.
And that's what it is.
And when I have discussions with people about it, it's like, because they're going, why do you have a gun that holds 30 rounds? It's like, because I haven't gone out of my way to get the big thing that holds 100. And they go, well, why would you have that? Because it's fun, for one thing, because it's fun. First of all, I'm a hunter. I'm actually I'm a hunting guide with the state.
Oh, that's cool.
Yep, and it's all voluntary. But I'm an enthusiast. I'm a gun enthusiast. I like to shoot. I own semi-automatic weapons, a lot of handguns. I carry, just like you guys do.
Hell yeah, brother.
And but I'm not some crazy guy.
Sure.
I like to carry a gun.
Yep. I'm right there with you, man.
All you gotta do is watch the news, and if you don't have a gun, don't worry. Somebody in the parking lot will have one.
Yeah.
But and we'll be there to help you.
We'll be there to help you.
I remember seeing this one video. I think it was probably in Texas, but like where some guy went to go rob a store, and then all of a sudden, like the video camera like shows like fucking 5 people, and they all have their guns drawn on this dude.
That's Texas.
Yeah, like.
Oh, I believe it.
I mean, it's if you think about it, that was normal back in the Western days. You know,
True.
like it was normal to just open carry, and that was, you know. So as long as it's done responsibly, you know, I mean, we've kind of talked about the whole gun thing quite frequently. I do feel like, you know, you should have to take testing and like do a couple things to protect who gets a gun. Like there should be a couple more steps there. That's just my personal opinion, but like I'm all for the Second Amendment. I had a dream where I got I actually bought the same gun you had.
Oh, the M&P?
Yeah, in the dream last night, because you know I shot yours, so like I was familiar with it.
Sure.
Yeah, and I had a dream where I was like, I was so excited because I was able to find 9mm ammo in the dream.
I wish we could find some. There's none.
Yeah,
It's not out there, Steve. We can't find it.
How much do you need?
A lot. A lot.
I can give you a couple of handfuls. I'll buy it by the can.
Yeah.
But only because I love to go out and shoot.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. And like we talked about off camera, and we need to do this, honestly, is I'd love to go shooting with you. You know, let's take the ARs out there, which I wanted to tell you, this is so many people.
Do you have a spot that's like we could just have fun?
Well, he goes out, what, the Aurora Gun Club? Is that kind of where you're?
Actually, I actually belong to the Golden Gun Club out east, which was a great place for years. And I just coughed up my membership because there's a waiting list because I couldn't find anybody to go shooting. We were going, like, there was probably 10 of us. We'd go up there and shoot 1,000 rounds apiece. But
Easy to do.
yeah. So now I usually just go up to Centennial. It's an indoor, but
Yeah.
I shoot an indoor. But in the wintertime, what are you gonna do?
What are you going to do? Yeah.
But you can go in there with your pistols and your ARs, and you can shoot anything in there. It's fun.
Yeah.
I like shooting.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's a nice release. It's like playing the guitar. It's therapy for me, and I have a lot of fun with it, man. And the war on the ARs that could possibly be coming, it bothers me because of the misinformation that is put out in the propaganda against the, assault rifle. And I want to go on record to say, look, an assault rifle, it's only an assault rifle if you assault someone with it. This is a semi-automatic. It's sold as a semi-automatic sporting rifle, right? And the term AR was coined as assault rifle. People had that. It stands for armor light rifle. But I'm going to tell you this, Steve. It stands for America's rifle. That's what I think it stands for.
Well, I won't disagree with you there. That whole assault rifle discussion was ridiculous, and it's still ongoing. And we've seen so many people step up in camera and go, holding a shotgun, calling it an assault rifle. It's just misinformation.
Misinformation. That's what it is. It's propaganda, I feel like.
It is, yeah. I mean, if you've ever served in the military, you know what an assault rifle is.
There you go.
What we own are not assault rifles.
Exactly.
There's no comparison
Yep.
of the damage you can do with a real assault rifle.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big talking point. It will continue to be. But I think that enough people support the Second Amendment in this country. I don't care what happens with in Washington. I just, with the Supreme Court and the Senate, I don't see any major gun legislation happening in the next 4 years. I could be wrong. I know there's an agenda there. But one thing's for sure, we'll stand and fight.
Absolutely. You're saying you can't find 9 mil. Hopefully you have 5.56 or 2.23.
Sure do. And that's the focus now. I'm stocking up on that as much as I can.
Because you could shoot either rounds out of it, or
Yeah, 5.56 NATO and 2.23.
With a NATO rifle, you sure can.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so, Steve, the difference between a 2.23 and a 5.56 NATO, correct me if I'm wrong, is it the pressurization of the round itself?
That's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's really no difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it eats it, send it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll go.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're just fun to shoot.
I love ARs, man.
they are fun to shoot.
They're accurate.
I've been out with my hunting buddies to the range to sight in our hunting rifles, old school guys, and we're cracking off 3 rounds at 100 yards, trying to put rounds in a quarter, and it gets old after a while. It's like, hey man, shoot 30 rounds out of this. He's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I was like, try it. Try looking through a scope with a little red dot.
It's fun.
Yeah. 2-3 clips later, he's like, "Oh man, that was a lot of fun."
Yeah.
We don't own these things because we're trying to overthrow the government.
No.
They're fun.
They're fun. It's a hobby.
It is.
It's a hobby.
It is a hobby,
And it's our right. It's
Yeah,
our right to
it
stand
is.
and defend ourselves.
Yeah.
So school shootings. I know this has went down tremendously since, COVID, but do we feel like America is like one of the highest school shooting countries in the world because of, the Second Amendment? Like, why are there so many school shootings in America?
Well, I mean, I think we've talked about in the past, it comes down to a mental health issue at the end of the day. Why are there so many school shootings? It's an easy target, I think. We've seen malls, we've seen Las Vegas, we've seen Aurora theaters.
Yeah.
A lot of places have been taken down.
That's true.
But school shootings, like Sandy Hook, Virginia Tech.
Maybe it's just because the bullying and maybe the accessibility to a firearm. I don't know.
But in most of those scenarios, those firearms that were used were not obtained legally.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing, too. When it comes to gun violence, less than 1% of these weapons are obtained legally, and the person that is utilizing them is legally utilizing this firearm. Even with the Rittenhouse guy, whatever his name was, up in Kenosha, Wisconsin, the guy that was wielding his AR. He was underage, number one.
Was he 15?
Yeah, he was young.
Yeah.
You can't legally wield a firearm, or even carry one, at that age. Number two, it wasn't registered to him. So there are some issues there. There are some things that need to be straightened out. But if you're in line with the Second Amendment, with the law, I don't think we need to put any sort of restrictions on it.
I agree. The type of people that go out and commit these
Heinous crimes.
terrible crimes with these semi-automatic weapons, they're off the cliff.
Yeah.
If I wanted to go out and commit such a thing, I don't need that rifle. I just need a couple of handguns and a bunch of clips.
That's it.
'Cause I guarantee you, I can pull off as many rounds, probably a little bit easier, because I'm already, not to get crazy, but to blame one side or the other and say this has to go because of this and this has to go because of this is just, it doesn't make sense. If you don't know weapons, then you shouldn't try to make a decision on, let's get rid of this 30-round clip, because a 30-round clip is nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
It isn't. And people hear that term like, oh, well, no one needs to have, that many rounds in a magazine. It doesn't matter.
If you're going to do something horrible, all you got to do is have 3 handguns.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
And look what you just did. The same amount of damage. So,
And it's easily argued that you can carry more handguns, more magazines, because they are smaller, easier to carry around than a rifle. Some of these things that they deem evil. Look, there's gonna, you can find a way, and you can consider it assault pistol. If you really want to start coining that phrase and throwing it around there, if you assault someone with it, then it's an assault weapon. That term is too loosely used, and it puts a bad image on it. It's bad gun propaganda.
yeah, they have 9mm pistols these days that you can have this 15.
33, yeah, the Glock
15
33 round mags. Yeah, my buddy in Texas has it.
Yeah,
It's unreal, and doesn't make it evil, I think, but
Honestly, shotgun would do more damage.
It-
Like
they-
in a crowded scenario, like
Well, and for home defense, the sound of a Mossberg, if you're racking a Mossberg, the sound of that is that's home defense right there. Use whatever you want for home defense, but yeah, you're right. A shotgun, you don't have to be that accurate. It just sprays. You might have to reframe your diploma, as Bill Burr says afterwards, but it's going to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And now shotguns are semi.
Yeah, that's true. Those.
You load them up. You don't. You cock it once and then bang, bang,
Boom,
bang,
boom,
bang,
boom.
bang. That's
I've never shot a semi-automatic shotgun.
I would like to. Those tactical shotguns are badass. I want to get into some clays and stuff, but
I'm actually going to go hunting this month in Little Rock with my family.
Nice.
And,
Were you guys hunting hogs?
Ducks.
Okay.
But instead of buying a shotgun here, because I need a hunting shotgun, I'll buy one there and then I have to ship it one way.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm going to get a semi Mossberg to just, if I miss, I'll pull the trigger again. I'm a hunter, so I'm not being crazy. It's just what a great way to shoot birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have fun with it too.
Yeah.
That is fun. So I had one more would you rather.
I was going to say, we could talk guns all night.
Yeah, this one's a food-based one on something that might not be that delicious to eat.
Okay.
So like, would you? It's like picking between two things that you probably don't want. So would you rather eat like a big grub, like a larvae, like a big old live grub, or would you rather eat like the one chip challenge, like the chip that's so spicy that like it's hard for people to just eat one?
Have you heard about that one chip challenge, Steve?
No.
It's like that ghost pepper or scorpion pepper, the hottest chip you could possibly imagine.
And first the question is, why are we eating these?
Because you have to pick one.
Oh, just because you have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So
would you
So
rather
this
scenario.
isn't survival training.
no, this is just strictly like if you had to either burn the shit out of your mouth or eat like a big live grub that pops in your mouth.
I'm eating the big grub.
The big grub?
I've done it before.
You don't feel like burning
Yeah?
down the house.
No, I've eaten them before.
Live?
Yeah.
How are they?
They just pop in your mouth and they're disgusting, but they'll get you enough protein to keep going for about 4 or 5 hours.
Oh.
Absolutely.
I've seen Bear Grylls do it on Man vs. Wild. He's popping out. You see the guts oozing out.
Yep.
Oh.
In that scenario, Art, I think we talked about doing that one chip challenge just for the listeners and the viewers to see us suffer in pain. But if I had an option to eat a beetle grub over that, I'm going to take the grub.
Yeah, because I don't want to deal with the burn. And when burn's coming in, burn's coming out. Right?
Fire in the hole.
That's something you got to consider.
Begin with the ending in mind. I'm eating the grub, even though I wouldn't want to. Like it makes me a little like thinking about it. Yeah,
It's all mental, man. It really comes down. People think I'm gross because I like Rocky Mountain oysters.
I mean, the grub's probably pretty decent if it was cooked.
Sure. Rocky Mountain oysters aren't bad
I like them.
because they're deep fried, and to me they taste like beef and like I don't know.
What's the texture like?
So I've even heard the coin phrased beef chips. They've called it that before on a menu.
A beef chip?
A beef chip, which is a Rocky Mountain oyster that's essentially sliced into like a a fried chip thing. But what do they taste like? They're rich. They're good though. It's fried. You got cocktail sauce. It's really not that bad, but it's a mental thing. I feel like. So, but man, I'll tell you this: it's Veterans Day, and I want to thank all the men and women that have served.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. You guys you defend our freedoms. We fly the red, white, and blue proud in the studio, and every year we get a chance to bring in a vet. Steve Lobato's been with us tonight. It's been a lot of fun to drink a couple beers with you, brother.
Been great to talk to you guys.
You're
Appreciate it. Thanks
pleasure.
for having me so much.
Yeah.
Been awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, man. And you know what? We'll probably get you on down the road too. We'll have you back on in 2021.
I'd love that. It'd be great. I'd love that. It'd be great.
It's freedom. We just drink beer and shoot the shit.
Yep.
And talk to the listeners. So we'll include anything
Thanks
you
so
want,
much.
Steve, down in the show notes and the YouTube episode. Anything that you want to include or plug or anything, we'll include that in there.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Happy birthday to the Marines.
Happy birthday to the
Everybody,
Marines.
believe and achieve your goals out there. Keep hustling hard. The time is now to do what you want to do most.
That's right. You got to own it, baby. Here we go. Let's let it rip, Tater Chip. 2020, it's been a hell of a year, but we got to keep grinding. And that's about all we can do. And I'll say this. I salute the military. I love you guys. Thanks for defending our freedoms. Thank you, Steve, for your service.
Thank you, brothers.
We love you, man. We're going to drink a couple more beers off here, guys. But you know the spiel. Be sure to like and subscribe us on YouTube. If you're just listening, be sure to go to YouTube and check it out. Follow us on all social media platforms. Send us your would you rather. Send us what you're thinking. We love you guys. That's why we do it. And we'll see you next week. We're back here. Y'all be good to yourselves. You deserve it.